Hello, crypto fans, and we got some great news for you today. First of all, Blackrock, the cabal, as some of you would actually call it, has actually registered an iShares Ethereum ETF in Delaware today. This is a spot ETF. Now, this does not mean they filed with the SEC for an Ethereum ETF. This means they just registered a trust in Delaware. This could be a signal, however, of them filing an Ethereum ETF shortly in the future. Now, they're obviously just following Grayscale, so they're not the leader. Grayscale is the leader and the pioneer. They're followers, but since they're black and they're rocks, people want to pay attention to them, obviously. So this is very good news. It means that they're not only targeting Bitcoin, they're at least targeting Ethereum as well. And I think overall, they're probably going to be interested in more cryptos, but there's probably not that much customer demand for any other kind of ETF. But yeah, you'll see Ethereum ETFs get filed. So Bitcoin and Ethereum should both soar because of this if they get accepted. Now, once they actually accept a Bitcoin ETF, I think the floodgates open, and there's really no reason why they won't accept an Ethereum ETF because they can't use the same excuses they've used to stall the Bitcoin ETF for so long. Essentially, the judges and the courts are not going to agree with the SEC at this point because, their excuse for not accepting Ethereum ETF is going to be the same as not accepting Bitcoin ETF. And since you already have Ethereum's futures ETFs, which the SEC has improved, the courts are going to be like, you don't really have a reason to deny these ETFs. So I expect Ethereum ETFs by next year, and I expect more than one of them. But even though BlackRock has not actually filed this, I think this is a precursor for them to file it, and I expect in the next few weeks, especially if the Bitcoin ETF actually gets approved, I expect them to file an Ethereum ETF, and I do not expect a 5-year fight over other ETFs. I think they will come within the next year. So Eric Balunchis on Twitter, he said, BlackRock has made the first step towards filing for a spot Ether ETF. I just confirmed on the website myself. Nice catch. So obviously, BlackRock, one of the biggest financial companies, they're going to be interested in this. They don't want to be left out of the fun. There's a lot of profit here. And I think Larry Fink, he made a lot of positive statements about Bitcoin. He's going to start making a lot of positive points about Ethereum as well. So, Ethereum might have underperformed this last year, but I think it's going to have a little bit of a revival. And I think $10,000 is definitely possible for Ethereum in the next bull run. So it might actually go up the list of things that we should invest in. However, Ethereum does have the same problems as Bitcoin on the technical side. Yes, they have DeFi. Yes, they have NFTs and all that stuff, but they are still extremely slow and they're very, very expensive. And no, Layer 2 doesn't really fix everything. And plus, for Ethereum validators, Layer 2 doesn't really help them because it moves them onto a sidechain, which they're not collecting the fees from. So Ethereum might be a really good buy in the next couple of months, especially if there are inclinations that an Ethereum ETF will be approved shortly after a Bitcoin ETF. One thing I do need to mention with Tom Emmer is he actually has proposed a bill that has met no resistance in the House of actually defunding the SEC, but not entirely defunding the SEC. So don't jump for joy yet, Alex Mashinsky and Sam Bankman-Fried. They're only defunding the SEC in regards to going after new crypto projects. So you guys are still not off the hook. But for new crypto projects, the SEC may not have funds to actually go after them. Gary Gensler said he may resign if they defund it, but I don't think he actually will. Now, it's probably going to have a lot of resistance in the Senate, and Biden might veto it. I'm not really sure. But at least it got through the House without any opposition. There was basically no Democratic opposition to this bill either, which means a lot of people just don't really like Gary Gensler on either side of the aisle. Maybe this will actually go through. It was just basically an amendment, so it could actually go through. And if it does go through, it'll definitely cripple the SEC and Gary Gensler's abilities to go after more crypto projects, which will make Gary Gensler cry, which would actually make us very, very happy. The court has actually approved Celsius's bankruptcy plan. And it now sends it to the SEC for approval. So basically what's going to happen is that $2 billion is going to go to creditors. And I'm not really sure how much you're going to get from Celsius if you were screwed by Celsius. I know a couple of you watching me were actually screwed by Celsius, so you're going to be very interested in this. But if we have more details of the actual settlement, we will actually tell you. So the Celsius bankruptcy plan has been approved. The path is clear for customers to see some of their funds returned and receive shares in the reorganized company, which will be called NewCo. Now, that's very important because you might actually have assets in this new company. Will the new company be worth anything? My guess is probably no. But if that's part of your compensation, you will actually want to know what that company is called. And, you might want to track it on the public market if it actually is public. And if it is public, you might want to sell the shares, however many shares you have of this new company when it becomes available for sale. But Celsius, yes, they are reorganizing into a new company called Newco. You will get shares as part of the settlement. And how many shares you get obviously remains to be seen, but it's probably dependent on how much Celsius you actually own. Hopefully you didn't own too many Celsius or have too much funds in Celsius, because you're probably getting maybe 30 cents on the dollar, but I'm not really sure. I think Celsius did lose more than $2 billion, so you're definitely not being 100% made whole. And because the SEC's intervened, I think you're getting a worse deal than you would have gotten earlier. So the confirmation was issued on November 9th, and the bankruptcy plan approved Celsius creditors overwhelmingly on September 27th. So basically, most of the Celsius creditors were participants of its EARN program, and that was the rewards program. So nothing in this confirmation order or plan constitutes a finding of the court under any securities laws or otherwise, as whether CEL tokens or EARN programs or securities. So they did not actually say if Celsius tokens were securities or not. I think they're trying to get other cases to determine that. This is just the restitution and how much you could actually get from Celsius if you are hurt by them. So obviously this does not help the SEC's case, because they did not say if anything were securities or not. Newco, the shares of this company that you actually might get, it's going to expand the existing mining operations of former lender Celsius, and it'll also monetize illiquid Celsius assets. How they'll actually monetize illiquid Celsius assets, I don't really know. I think those are kind of worthless, but maybe they can actually find some way. Mashinsky's trial will be next year for those of you that are interested, and I hope he gets pwned in that trial, just like SBF gets pwned. My guess is he will indeed get jail time, but he won't get nearly as much as Sam Bankman-Fried, because he didn't actually commingle customers' funds. He just lost them on bad investments. So I don't think the charge against him will be nearly as big. Bitcoin fees have risen 1,000% since August. Yes, people, in just 3 short months, Bitcoin fees have risen 1,000%. And this is why Bitcoin is not the new blockchain for the new economy, because it simply can't handle it. Bitcoin is going to be pigeonholed as only a store of value because you can't really use it. I guess you could run everything through Lightning, but Lightning does have its own issues. And I don't know if you'll ever be able to run everything successfully through Lightning, plus the fact that you can't develop apps on Bitcoin, because ordinals will make it even more expensive. Remember, Bitcoin blocks are only 1 megabyte. And if you have to store your JPEGs in those blocks, they're going to be less TPS. And since Bitcoin tops out at 7 or 14 TPS, less TPS means big problems. So ordinals, while it might sound like a good short-term investment for right now, because Binance has listed some of them, they are disastrous for the long term. So the thing is, I don't really see Bitcoin as the blockchain of the future. If you are looking for a blockchain of the future, you want one that's fast, has smart contracts, and has DeFi, because those are the things that are going to be required for the blockchain of the future. You're going to have lending and loaning, because a lot of the economy actually runs on that. You can't have a side economy that doesn't have lending and loaning. You're going to have yield generation, because part of the economy does run on that as well. You're going to have to look for something that can basically mimic the real economy, except be decentralized at the same time. I think that's what you're looking for in a crypto economy. And I do actually think that's what crypto was designed for in the first place. They want something that's not in control of the government. Well, if you want an economy, you need to mimic all the functions of the economy. And the economy does entail loaning and lending, generating yield or generating interest. It requires all those things. If you just have a coin that's fast and does transactions, that's not enough to mimic an economy. You need a coin that can do all those things. And maybe it won't be one coin. Maybe it'll be a conglomerate of all the coins, and maybe a conglomerate DEX like 1inch might actually perform all those functions. I don't think it's actually going to be 1inch. It probably is going to be some other company, but you should look for those kind of things, because I do think there is a big demand for a crypto economy, but for crypto to have a crypto economy, you need to actually have features that resemble an economy. And I think crypto will actually have those features. It's just going to take a while for them to actually develop. But, looking at chains like Solana, Cardano, HBAR, VeChain, all these chains have the potential to actually do this stuff. And they're decentralized to one degree or another. I think Cardano is the most decentralized, but it's also not the fastest chain out there. So there's pros and cons to all of these, but you will need a chain that can process transactions way better than Bitcoin. You will need a chain that has smart contracts. You will need a chain that has DeFi, that's able to do loaning and all this other stuff. So you've got your pick. There's a lot of chains out there, and you should need to pick one that actually has those features that can mimic an economy. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.